Welcome to the red half of Sheffield. Yes, this is the preview pod where we are going to inevitably preview another Blades loss. This week, I am joined to preview our upcoming fixture against Arsenal from the Bergkamp Wonderland and Arsenal podcast. Danny, good evening, late evening over in the UK. It's middle of the afternoon here in the States or early evening over here in the States. How are you doing on this Sunday, Danny?
I am tickety boo. Thanks for asking. How are you doing?
Um, I'm okay. Just finished up the early games in the NFL and watched the Lions get their absolute ass kicked by the Baltimore Ravens on top of yesterday's defeat to Manchester United. So everything's going swimmingly in my life. Yes, I can't wait to preview another ass kicking at Arsenal against the Gunners. I don't know. Would you? I guess we'll start it there. Would you proclaim that Arsenal are probably the best team in the Prem at this state of the season?
Not with the plan. Not with the everything that's going on at the moment. We've played 13 games this season, including the Charity Shield, where 2 in Europe, 1 in the League Cup. Out of those 13 games, we have played like we did last season once, and we smashed PSV Eindhoven 4-0. Other than that, it has been. It reminds me a little bit of when Unai Emery first took charge of Arsenal. We had a run of 20. I think was it maybe 26 games unbeaten or 16 games unbeaten? There was a 6 involved. And you look back at that and go, well, he weren't doing that bad, but the football was dire. Every single game is going to be nearly lost. We conceded silly goals, and that's what we're doing at the moment. I mean, for us to be 2-0 away at Chelsea are absolute rubbish. They're bottom half of the table. And then for us not to go ahead, we can't score goals. But for last season, we broke the Premier League record for Arsenal in the number of goals scored in the Premier League season. Beat the Invincibles, beat the 98 double team, beat the 02 double team. And now we're coming into this season, and we have managed to score 2 goals a game on average, but we've also almost conceded 1 goal a game. And I'm watching it, and I download the games, and I watch them back again. And it's just the creativity. Once it gets to the front, we have nobody there because we have a number 9 in Jesus, who doesn't play as a forward. He plays as a left wing, a right wing, a left 8, a right 8, a CAM, a DM, a CM, a centre back. The only position he hasn't covered this season is in goal. And so when we make these attacks, and when Martinelli or Saka are running up to the box, unless they're going to go into the box themselves, there's going to be nobody there to get the ball to. And we thought in the summer, we bought Kai Havertz, £65 million well spent. Well, that's debatable. He's 6'5" or whatever he is. We'll have someone in the box. We'll have an Olivier Giroud type player, a Paul Pescalino kind of player, maybe. And then he'll be there to put the ball. Oh no, we've decided to play him at the left 8. Excellent. No, it's not going to work. So then don't worry, everybody. Don't worry. We'll bring Eddie Nketiah on. The bloke couldn't score in a brothel. He has a magnificent record scoring against kids when in the England under-21 and in the Arsenal reserves and under-18s. But when it comes to playing against big bad men, he doesn't know what he's doing, and it is a shame. But he managed to get an England cap. So one day it is going to click. And that day might be against you, where we're going to absolutely destroy someone. And we were saying before the show started that you said 29 games to go. That's all I've got to put up with.
Yeah, right. I'm slowly crossing them off.
Yeah.
Got a proverbial marker just crossing it off. Okay, all right. We got Arsenal this week. Okay, we'll probably lose by 4 or 5-0. If Arsenal are at it on their day, we get turned over again. I don't know how the hell we were in the game yesterday against Manchester United, but we were probably, in all honesty, our best game of the season. But for Arsenal's sake, is like if you guys don't win the league this year, because everybody, and it's weird too. In your sum up of Arsenal to start this season, it is a completely different narrative over here in the States where they're like, Arsenal, oh my God, they're all in love with Arsenal. And it's like what you just described is nothing I have heard about the coverage over here of Arsenal. Like, oh my God, Arsenal's so high up. This is the year. This is the year. Do you think if Arsenal do not win the league this year, this season's almost a failure? At least, I don't know. I guess it's almost a two-sided question because over here in the States, it's like Arsenal is the team that's going to win, unseat Pep from the top of the mountain, chasing down his rival, blah 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 blah. And then over in the UK, it almost seems like it's like, well, we all kind of knew this Arsenal team was going to be this way, and as you said, it's all about a matter of time when it clicks, and then it might set you off into where you can chase the title. Is this season, I guess that's a long-winded question, is this season almost a title or bust type season?
No, Arteta's there for the foreseeable future. If we don't win the league this season, I won't be too upset because Man City have still got magnificent players. What Man City didn't do in the summer was go and buy loads of world-class players to replace Mahrez and Gundogan and a couple of other players that have gone. They didn't do that. They've even sold one of their youth players who went to Chelsea and was really good against us the other day. So Man City are on this slight decline. I mean, they've still got the Terminator up front scoring a goal a game, but they are vulnerable. I mean, after 9 Premier League games, they've lost 2.
Yeah.
I mean, some in the previous seasons, they'd lose that in the entire season or maybe only lose 1 in the entire season. So I think next season is the season where Arteta really will have everybody working perfectly. I don't like Kai Havertz. I don't like how he's treating Emile Smith-Rowe. I don't like Raya. I prefer Ramsdale, but I'm not a football manager. And when I've doubted Arteta in the past, Arteta has gone and shown all of us that we're wrong, that he does have a process and we need to trust that process, to quote him. And then things will all be right in the end. If not all right, then it's not the end, as I always tell my daughter. So this season, we're going to chase, and we could win it this season. I think it is only between us two. You've got our noisy neighbours in N17. They think they're in with a chance. Once they start playing teams outside the bottom 6, and maybe they might start to come a cropper. But we will chase Man City all season. And the fact that we're unbeaten at the moment out of 9 games is a little bit misleading because some of the football we have been playing is dire. Zinchenko, for me, is unreliable. He gives the ball away too much. I've already said Havertz hasn't fitted in just yet. Jesus isn't scoring goals as much as you'd think. There's a bloke at the head of that Arsenal attack. Saka is playing all the time and he's carrying an injury. And he has 2 men on him the entire time. Like yesterday, it was Caicedo and Cucurella, and they just spent the entire game kicking him. And I always say that if Harry Kane got so much protection from the PGMOL and the referees and the FA because he was the England star boy, not anymore. The star boys for England are Jude Bellingham and Bukayo Saka. Those are the 2 that need protection. And there's only one of those they can protect. And the referees are doing absolutely nothing about protecting him, booking people early on. How many times did Cucurella yesterday pull him down and foul him, and then Caicedo would come in and do it, and then somebody else would come in and do it? That kid is getting kicked, battered, and bruised every single game, and that's the only thing that's going to stop him is getting no protection. And he's growing as a player. Martinelli is back and was magnificent yesterday. Declan Rice in central midfield. I saw someone the other day on Twitter say it's not very often that you say you paid £105 million for a player and you got a bargain. How did you get him so cheap? Yeah. We've got so much brilliant stuff. I think we need another season to gel, push for the title, and the next season, if he doesn't win it, then I would be disappointed.
Yeah. So you did bring up an interesting point. What is the deal going on with David Raya coming in and Ramsdale kind of almost taking like a back seat? What is there more to read into that one, or is it just Arteta just wanting to like keep the goalkeeper competition? I mean, or like almost put a little bit of pressure on Ramsdale, because Ramsdale does get cocky. We know from his United, previously being at United, I didn't think he could save a beach ball if the opponents were kicking it at him. It's certainly an interesting turn of events, seeming to have that number one nailed down, and then David Raya comes in from Brentford and unseats him. What's going on there?
When Arteta first took over, the main goalkeepers he had was Martinez and Leno, and he didn't really like either of them. I think he quite liked Martinez, but then he realised, hold on, I can get £26 million for this bloke. Let him go, reinvest the money. And then he was after David Raya already. From Brentford, that's what he wanted, but I think we were quoted £30-odd million for him. So that was his first choice goalkeeper to go and get. And then he went and got Ramsdale, and then Ramsdale has been brilliant. But the number of times, it seems to be, like when you've got an old car, you can't just get in your car, start it up, and hoon away. You've got to let it warm up a little bit. Ramsdale, for the first 5 or 10 minutes in every game, it's like he's watching cartoons in his head. He's not taking notice, and we have let in 3 goals, I think, within the first minute with him in goal. Not necessarily all his fault, but he doesn't read the game well enough at the beginning of games. It's like you're saying, he likes to have a chat with the crowd and wind them up and do silly things. I love him. I'd have him play every single game, because he's only 24. He could be at Arsenal for the next 14 years. He could be playing at Arsenal at 38, like David Seaman was, or 36. And that's what I do. And I don't think that it's going to help the situation when we need someone to score goals. You go and agree to spend, was it 20-25 million on a goalkeeper at the end of the season? We didn't need him. We don't have a backup, because our backup is the Latvia. I think he's Latvian, Karl Hein. He's played 1 game in the League Cup last season, and we got smashed by Brighton 4-1. So he's not. If we needed a backup goalkeeper, because Alex Runarsson, we bought him for a couple of million, and we've loaned him out the entire time because he hasn't had a good run of it. So he did need a better goalkeeper. I was hoping he'd go and do what most teams do, go and get a goalkeeper in his mid to late 30s and have one that Ramsdale can learn off. But to go and get someone who's 28 and then bring him in and let him start the league game, and then start the Champions League game, and then start the next league game, and then that's doing Ramsdale no favours.
Yeah.
It does concern me that it may do Ramsdale more damage than good.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm drawing for, because I was watching the beginning of the Chelsea game yesterday, Chelsea Arsenal, and I was like, Ramsdale's not in goal. What the hell's going on here? And I figured it was just a little bit of like, hey, we're gonna put some pressure on Ramsdale and give Raya a start, and maybe like, okay, you don't have this cemented to maybe see if his game ups, but as you just mentioned, the amount of games that Raya's starting, it's almost a little bit like Ramsdale's kind of like left out. And, honestly, when Pickford finally gives it up, I thought Ramsdale was going to be like the new England number 1. He's not going to be the new England number 1 if he's second fiddle at Arsenal.
Yeah, because he played for England. He started for England a little while ago, and then when the next lot of games come up, he thought, well, we've got a friendly against Australia. He's bound to start in goal there. He didn't. They started was it Henderson or was it the West Brom guy? I can't remember who the goalie it was. I'm not really an England fan. And the next game, Pickford started, and then Ramsdale must be thinking, I've lost my first team place at Arsenal. I was virtually first team, vied with Pickford for England. And now his missus just had their first baby. It's a really hectic time of life for him, and he has said that it was in the press earlier this year, saying that that his brother or online abuse, and he's suffered from it, or his brother or some family member had suffered from it all. And so he seems to be the kind of player that isn't going to go, like, you could say something to most players, and they go, whatever, I don't care. But he seems to be quite sensitive, which is. And if these things are happening, that does make me concerned that you could break the player.
Yeah.
Rather than making him better by giving him competition. But I see why Arteta does it. Some of the saves he made last season, he saved us so many points last season with magnificent saves and double saves. He's a wonderful player. Mm-hmm. But at times he can be a bit clownish and a little bit irresponsible. But he's 24 years old. Goalies don't peak until they're in their late 20s, early 30s.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe he should look at that and go, well, Raya, even if Raya stays, it may be here for a couple of years, but he's not going to want to lose out on his England spot with the European Championships coming up in 2024 and the World Cup in 26 over at your place.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we went through the growing pains of the Aaron Ramsdale era back at United. The last time we were in the Prem, he couldn't save a. I don't know what the hell he was doing. So anyway, on to Saturday's game, 3 p.m. kickoff. Your thoughts on how the match goes? 7-8-9-0 to the Gunners. 4-5.
Well, I was looking through our history playing against each other. We got 6 against you in the League Cup in 2008. Mm-hmm. And then going back through you had quite a few draws with us, a couple of wins with us. You managed in 1973, you beat us 5-0. And then in 1972, we beat you 5-0. And in 1932, we beat you 9-2. Now, that's the kind of result I would like. But realistically, it's only 2019 we went there and you beat us 1-0. 2006, we went there and you beat us 1-0. We don't, at the moment, we're playing better away from home than we are at home. I think that was the stat that I'd read. So I think it'll be a little bit foolish for me to think that we're not playing our best football. Things aren't clicking as they should be. We saw Zinchenko got taken off at half-time and Tomiyasu brought on. I don't know if Zinchenko had a knock, but he was giving the ball away. Jorginho, if he plays, he does nothing but give the ball away. He's a liability as well. And Arteta doesn't seem to want to play his best players. He'd rather play Eddie up front rather than have kept Balogun. And I like Kieran Tierney, and people give me grief over it. Kieran Tierney is a wonderful left back. He was our best player for 18 months. He's a proper defender. He does the work properly, but Arteta's obsessed with having these inverted wing backs or full backs or whichever one he is at the time. But we needed that last season. But now when we got Declan Rice and we've got Partey, we don't need another defensive midfielder dropping into the midfield to shore things up. You stay at left back. That's what we want you to do, up and down the left side. Because when, hopefully, your team will go, whoever's on the right wing, just watch when Zinchenko goes in midfield and then run with the ball as fast as you can down the right-hand wing. That's what Forest did. That's what there's a couple of teams this season that have done that to us, and then it's caused trouble. So that's what, if your manager's got any sense, Heckingbottom, which he's a nice bloke, he knows what he's doing, he will go, as soon as Zinchenko goes, woof, off you go. Long ball, down the wing, cross it in, and then hope for the best. So I don't think we're going to absolutely smash you. We are collectively, we are a magnificent team. And I think under a different manager, we would be, I don't know how you can do much better than being unbeaten in the season after 9 games, but the performances would have been better under a manager who is a little bit more experienced, who had stopped trying to, remember in the Champions League final where Pep a few years ago with one they lost went, I have an idea, let's play this game without a striker. Yeah. You're thinking, what are you doing? Pep and Arteta love to do these things, and then they just stand there naked in the mirror looking at themselves, watching the video back of what their masterpiece has done of tactics, and I don't want any of that. So I'll be happy if we beat you 1-0. I mean, we might get a couple more, but sometime this season we are going to switch it on like we did against PSV, and someone's going to concede 8 goals or 6 goals. They're going to absolutely smash it. I hope it isn't you, because I quite like Sheffield United. I've always said both Sheffield teams deserve to be in the Premier League because it's a huge city, huge history, and the teams like Luton and Bournemouth and maybe even Brighton, they're not great big teams, but yeah, I think Luton, they're the ones I'd like to smash 12-0 because I hate Luton. I'll be happy with a 2-0 as long as you don't make us look silly.
Yeah, no, we won't. Trust me, we won't make you look silly. We'll probably be in it for about 20, 25 minutes and then be like, here you go, have it. Have this one. I think we lose 3, maybe 4-0.
But you didn't buy a single player in the summer, did you? You've just spent nothing. You've not spent a penny.
We bought a few. Well, the whole thing is it doesn't set up well when you sell probably your 2 best players about 2 weeks before the season. Then you bring in a bunch of players no one's ever heard of, and
I was looking on Wikipedia and it said there's 7 undisclosed, and I just assumed that meant you didn't pay anything for them. So you've actually paid money for players.
Yeah, I think the total bill is probably about 55 million. I want to say, brought a few in a loan, a bunch of players that are terrible we bought from the continent.
You bought an American. How's he
Yeah,
doing?
yeah. Well, we don't have anybody in defense, so Trusty had to start his first league game after he had to get subbed on after Chris Basham against Fulham snapped his ankle, and
I
his
know. He's
yeah.
done.
So yeah, well, if you read into what the manager said, his career's not over. At his age, it is over for United.
Was he 36 or 38?
36. So yeah, his career is over for United. But Trusty did step in, and I mean, he didn't play terribly, but yeah, the players we brought in just it's almost a patch up job to get us through the rest of the season. Then we can go down. We can clear out the players that we brought in that are terrible. Archer will go back to Villa. McAtee will go back to Man City. The rest of them can kind of be just like, all right, see ya, we're good. You're not good enough for this level. You're not. I particularly don't like any of the players we brought in, aside from Archer and McAtee. I don't think the rest of them are worth a damn. But yeah, I mean, it's a championship, middle of the championship team at best we have right now, and that's why we're just trying to get out of our own damn way, and hopefully we don't get turned over again, like we did a couple weeks ago, about a month ago against Newcastle. So before we get out of here, one last hard hitting question, really hard hitting. That's how we like to end this preview pod. Match day. What is the go-to beverage for you, Mr. Danny? Go-to beverage. It doesn't have to be alcohol. Oh, Pepsi Max.
I don't
Viewers
drink.
can see.
I don't like it. I don't like feeling drunk. So yeah, Pepsi Max. And if I'm feeling exotic, I go Pepsi Max Cherry.
Oh, wow. I'm
How about
going out
you?
on a limb there. Going out on a limb. I see it. Okay, that is going to wrap it up. Danny, tell the people where they can find the Arsenal podcast.
Yes, if you just go to any of your search engines, Google or Yahoo or Ask Jeeves, and just type in Bergkamp Wonderland, and then we've been going since 2013. We've done over 1,000 shows. We used to be quite a big podcast back in the day, but as we're not controversial, as we don't shout and scream and demand everyone be sacked, as we don't do all that other stuff, there nobody listens anymore. So we are like the retirement home Arsenal podcast. So there's I think there's 12 of us in the WhatsApp group, and then I'll be lucky if I can get one or two of those to bother turning up. So we will be doing a show on, hopefully doing a show on Monday, and then another one on Wednesday or Thursday after the Champions League game. And I'll ask Chris if we can get you on for 15 minutes after we've played you, because Chris is the host of the normal podcasts. We used to do preview shows like this and post game shows, but then you just find out people can't be bothered. If you're not controversial, then no one wants to watch you, and then we're too old. I mean, we have a combined age of about 1,000 between the 12 of us. So no, we're all too. We've had our day in the sun, and now we're happy to sit in the corner by the sunny window and slowly fade away. And on Twitter, it's at the AFC Podcast.
There you go. Go check the guys out. I did do a preseason pod with Danny and gave him my prediction. Hot takes. Yeah, the predictions, which I wish I would have switched out Southampton for Ipswich Town, because I think they're going to win the league and the championship. But yeah, until Saturday when we take on Arsenal, probably lose again, I'll say up the Blades.